So Nathan Oakley and the Flat Earth Debate crew were able to answer every single one of Professor Dave's 10 challenges for flat earthers. Of course, he called it 10 reifications, and in every case, the answer was a logical fallacy, and in some cases, more than one. Listen to this.
Okay, so does that mean I can just skip past number 2 then? Because it's just essentially the same. He's just holding up a straw man in false dichotomy in the form of this reified model he has us tied to with a stereotyping fallacy. So to make this example, he's got 4 fallacies so far. 5 if you include reification itself.
Is asking how day and night works on a flat earth really 5 logical fallacies? So Nathan, what you're really doing is trying to look clever by making an argument from fallacy, which is the formal fallacy of analyzing an argument and inferring that since it contains a fallacy, its conclusion must be false, and therefore this supports the flat earth. Well, fallacious arguments can arrive at true conclusions. So what you should be able to do is say why the globe conclusion is incorrect and tell us why the flat earth explains this better. Of course, you can't do that, can you? So this is what started it all, and this is Nathan's knee-jerk reply.
Reification fallacy. Reification, also known as concretism, hypothesization, or the fallacy of misplaced concretedness, is a fallacy of ambiguity when an abstraction, abstract belief, or hypothetical construct is treated as if it were a concrete, real event or physical entity. In other words, it is the error of treating something that is not concrete, such as an idea, as a concrete thing.
If a reification fallacy is the error of treating something that is not concrete, such as an idea, as a concrete thing, then isn't the idea of a flat earth also a reification fallacy?
A common case of reification is the confusion of a model with reality. The map is not the terrain.
So what happens when you click onto this link? Well, it looks like Nathan has been doing some cherry picking again. A map is not the territory it represents, but if correct, it has a similar structure to the territory, which accounts for its usefulness. The maps we have today are so accurate that you can go anywhere on the world, turn on your phone, and find your exact location. Also, nobody is claiming that we live in a model other than you. Scientific modeling is the scientific activity, the aim of which is to make a particular part or feature of a world easier to understand, define, quantify, visualize, or simulate by referencing it to existing and usually commonly accepted knowledge. It's just an explanation. Also, modeling is an essential and inseparable part of many scientific disciplines.
We're not asserting a model. That's a reification fallacy. The map is not the territory. The map is not the terrain. The ground we're standing on is not a map. That's reification if you assert that a sphere-shaped model is the ground we're standing on, which he is. He's asserting the Earth is this sphere-shaped model. Reification.
Well, now you're being a hypocrite. Yes, we claim we are standing on a sphere-shaped Earth, and you call it a reification fallacy. Yet you claim that you are standing on a flat-shaped Earth. So why isn't that also a reification fallacy?
So I'm not claiming a model. So this doesn't apply to me, for all the people spamming my comments with it. This doesn't apply. We don't reify models. We're not morons. We're not like this dick.
Well, the reality is you do have a model because you claim you live on an Earth with a geometric shape of a flat surface. And you and other flat earthers also claim the sun orbits above the surface of that Earth around the North Pole. I mean, it's quite obvious that the sun could not orbit in this direction. And you even go as far to claim that there is a dome covering the flat Earth, a dome that nobody has ever seen, based on your assumption that Boyle's law is proof of this. Well, the statistician George Box said all models are wrong, but some are useful. And the truth is, no model is 100% accurate because it is not the object it models. But some models are much better at explaining things. So let's test both models by making a comparison in the southern hemisphere.
So you would need to presuppose an R value for this nonsense, like all of your nonsense. That's why it's so critically important to scientifically validate the R value.
Nathan, both models have R values and circumferences. And look at the difference of the equator. The circumference of the flat Earth equator is over 14,000 miles longer than that of the globe model. And the circumference of the Tropic of Capricorn on the flat Earth is over twice the length that it is on the globe model. So let's make a comparison of two countries. Here we have Australia in the southern hemisphere, and on the right we have the United States of America, and we can see on the globe that they are about the same distance east to west. But on the flat Earth model, Australia is almost twice the distance east to west. Now I know you've already claimed that this is not your map, but if you had any understanding of the relationship between longitude, the sun, and time, you would understand that yes, this has to be your map. So these are 24 longitudes spread 15 degrees apart. And we know this represents 24 hours because the sun moves 15 degrees per hour. And this is from timeanddate.com regarding meridians in the sun. A meridian is an imaginary line running from the North Pole to the South Pole along the Earth's surface. It connects all locations that share the same longitude, meaning that they are exactly north and south of each other. And here is 120 degrees east longitude on both maps. And you can see that it cuts through eastern China on both maps and through western Australia on both maps. So solar noon is the moment when the sun passes the location's meridian or its longitude, and it reaches the highest position in the sky. In most cases, it doesn't happen at 12 o'clock, and that is because we use time zones instead of sundials. Since solar time depends on the longitude, solar noon occurs at exactly the same moment in all locations that share your local meridian. So here on both maps, I have placed the sun directly over the longitude, and now we know that it is solar noon for all of these locations, and this is how we know that Western Australia is due south of eastern China. And this is 150 degrees east longitude, which cuts through Russia up here and eastern Australia down here. And this is solar noon for that longitude. So again, because both of these locations share the same solar noon, we know that this part of eastern Australia is due south of this part of Russia. And this is the thing about the flat Earth map. You cannot change these longitudes. You cannot make Australia smaller, and you cannot move its location. Because if you do, then the longitude does not line up with the observed sun. So the reality is that if the Earth is flat, then yes, Australia would have to be twice the length of the United States. But on the globe model, they are about the same size. Well, let's take a look at Washington, D.C. over here to San Francisco. It's about 2,442 miles. And if we look from Sydney to Perth over here, it's about 2,041 miles. So here are the measured distances, and a very easy way to check this is to see what would a flight time be between these cities, because we know jet aircraft travel at the same speed. These are flight times from TripAdvisor. So on the left, Washington, D.C. to San Francisco, that flight would be 5 hours and 53 minutes. The return trip would be 5 hours 24 minutes. And Sydney to Perth, 5 hours 5 minutes. The return flight, 4 hours and 15 minutes. So we can see that the globe model explains flight times and distances across Australia. And this was actually one of Dave's challenges, which of course Nathan brushed aside as a fallacy. But I agree with you, Nathan, because in this case, the flat Earth model is a reification fallacy. So let's do one more comparison, and we'll take a look at the observed sun orbit near the equator. And we'll start with Singapore, which is right on the equator. So from Singapore, we see a sun that sets perpendicular to the horizon. Same thing when it rises. And this was taken by Phuket Bird on Phuket Island, Thailand. So here are these locations on the flat Earth map. Here is Singapore, and here is Phuket Island. And this is the observed sun orbit from these locations. And I know this is correct because I live up here in Bangkok, which is a little bit north of Phuket Island. And if you continue that orbit path, it goes right underneath us at night. So it is quite obvious if the Earth was flat, we should not see this at all. So this is the globe model with the globe turned on its side and the equator running straight up through the middle here. Here we have Singapore on the equator, and its horizon is perpendicular to the equator. And since Phuket is a little bit north of the equator, the horizon is at a slight angle, and that's why we saw the sun setting at a little bit of an angle compared to Singapore. And this is the observed sun orbit, which is perpendicular to these horizons. So when we consider the Earth rotation, we can see that the globe model does explain these observations. So in these two examples, the globe model made accurate predictions, and the flat Earth model wasn't even close. So ironically, Nathan, your video is actually 100% correct. I understand why you weren't able to answer a single one of Dave's challenges, because the flat Earth model is a reification fallacy.